Marcus Kane woke to the sound of metal clanging. His head throbbed with pain and his vision blurred. Cold air stung his bare skin, and heavy chains dug into his wrists. The last thing he remembered was the attack on the outpost, the fire, and Ilara screaming his name as alien hands pulled her away. Now he was here. The room was dark, except for a faint green glow coming from strange symbols on the walls. The air smelled like burned plastic and rot. He tried to move, but the chains rattled loudly, and his muscles screamed in protest. He wasn't dead. That much he knew. A deep voice echoed outside the cell, guttural and alien. He couldn't understand the words at first, but then his neural implant caught the signal. The translator flickered to life. The human male survived. That is, unusual. He won't last long, another voice said. Is kind or weak. The female is more valuable. Take her to the core. Begin extraction. Marcus's blood turned to ice. We were talking about Ilara. She was alive. His fists clenched so hard his knuckles turned white. The aliens thought humans were weak. They were wrong. He forced himself to breathe slowly. Rage wouldn't help him, not yet. He needed a plan. The door hissed open, and two tall figures entered. Their skin was scaled and dark, their yellow eyes glowing in the dim light. Each carried a long plasma staff that hummed with deadly energy. On your feet, human, one of them snarled. Marcus said nothing. He let his body sag, pretending to be weaker than he felt. The alien stepped closer and grabbed his arm. That was their first mistake. With a sudden burst of strength, Marcus twisted his body and yanked the alien forward. The chains cut into his skin, but he ignored the pain. He slammed his forehead into the alien's face. There was a crunch, and yellow blood splattered the floor. The second alien raised his staff, but Marcus swung his chains like a whip. The metal links wrapped around the staff, and he pulled hard. The weapon flew across the room and clattered to the floor. Marcus lunged forward, kicking the alien's knee backward with a sickening snap. The creature howled in pain. Within seconds, both guards lay motionless on the floor. Marcus breathed heavily, blood dripping down his face. His arms burned from the effort, but he didn't care. He searched the bodies, finding a small black device. On one of them, it looked like a key. He pressed it against his cuffs. The chains clicked open and fell to the ground. Free, he grabbed the fallen plasma staff. The weapon vibrated in his hands, the blue glow reflecting in his dark eyes. Time. To hunt? Marcus whispered. He stepped out of the cell. The corridor stretched ahead like the inside of a massive beast. Organic cables pulsed along the walls, and strange fluids dripped from the ceiling. Alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed. They knew he was loose. Good. Let them come. Marcus moved. Fast, keeping low. He needed to find Ilara before they reached the core. He ducked behind a console as a group of Reek soldiers marched by. Their armor clinked as they passed, their weapons glowing faintly. Marcus waited for the right moment. When the last one passed, he struck. The plasma staff tore through the first alien's neck. The others turned too slowly. Marcus moved like a predator, striking with precision and fury. 3 more bodies hit the ground. He dragged them into a dark corner and took a small control pad from the commander's belt. The alien language filled the screen, but the translator implant worked fast. Marcus found what he needed. The ship's map, Ilara, he murmured. Her location flashed on the screen. Core processing. Arrival in 6 hours. His jaw tightened. 6 hours. That's all I've got. He shoved the control pad into his pocket and took a deep breath. He would burn this entire ship down if he had to. He would kill every last alien on board. Nothing else mattered. A sound behind him made Marcus spin around. A small alien drone floated in the air, scanning him with a red beam. He raised the plasma staff and swung. Sparks exploded as the drone shattered into pieces. Too late. A loud hiss filled the corridor. Gas vents opened on both sides. From the shadows, more Vreek soldiers emerged. Bigger this time. Heavily armored, Marcus gripped the staff tighter. Come on then, growled. They charged at him. The first soldier swung his blade. Marcus ducked under it and drove the staff upward into the alien's gut. The plasma burned through armor and flesh alike. He rolled to the side, avoiding another strike, and fired the staff's energy pulse into the next attacker's chest. The corridor became a blur of motion and blood. Marcus didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Elira's face, her soft smile, the way she laughed when he told her stupid jokes. They took her from him, and he would get her back, no matter how many bodies it took. Marcus moved quickly through the alien ship's dark corridors, his heart pounding in his chest. The plasma staff felt heavy in his hands, but he didn't loosen his grip. He could still hear Elira's voice in his head, calling his name, and he refused to let her down. The alien map on the stolen control pad blinked faintly. Core processing arrival in 5 hours, 42 minutes. Time was running out. The Vreek soldiers weren't underestimating him anymore. They were hunting him. Red lights flashed along the walls, and alarms wailed like the cries of dying animals. Strange gases hissed from vents above him, filling the air with a sickly sweet smell. He crouched low behind a cluster of glowing cables and listened. Human, loose, kill on sight. A guttural alien voice said nearby. 4 soldiers marched past, their armor glinting under the red lights. They carried energy rifles. Their sharp claws tapped against the metal floor. Marcus didn't have time for stealth anymore. He stood and fired the plasma staff. The energy pulse struck the lead soldier in the back, blasting a hole through its chest. Yellow blood sprayed across the corridor walls. The others roared and turned, weapons raised. Marcus sprinted forward before they could fire. He swung the staff like a spear, slamming the blunt end into the second alien's helmet. The creature staggered. Marcus drove the staff straight through its neck. The last 2 soldiers fired wildly, but Marcus rolled to the side. A bolt of plasma grazed his shoulder, searing his flesh. He gritted his teeth and didn't slow down. He leaped at the closest one and wrestled the rifle from its claws. The sharp twist. He broke its arm and shot it point blank in the face. The final alien hesitated for a split second. That was all Marcus needed. He slammed the plasma staff into its gut, then swept its legs out from under it. The alien crashed to the floor. Marcus stomped down hard on its chest until the armor cracked. Silence returned to the corridor, broken only by Marcus's heavy breathing. His shoulder burned where the plasma had grazed him, but he ignored the pain. He grabbed one of the alien rifles and checked the power level. It's almost full. Good enough, he muttered. He moved on, faster now. The corridors twisted and turned like a maze. Organic veins pulsed in the walls, and strange alien fluids dripped from the ceiling. The whole ship felt alive, like it was watching him. Marcus didn't care. He had one mission: get her back. He came to a wide chamber filled with strange metal cages. Human bodies hung inside them, suspended in some kind of glowing liquid. Marcus's stomach twisted. There were dozens of them. Men, women, even children. But where was Elira? He scanned the cages quickly, fear clawing at his chest. Then he saw it, a small silver necklace floating in the liquid of one cage. He recognized it instantly. Eliro's necklace. The one he gave her before the outpost mission, but the cage was empty, no body, no blood. She's still alive, Marcus whispered to himself. She has to be. His fingers tightened on the rifle. From the shadows, a deep voice rumbled. You're too late, human. Marcus spun around. A massive Vreek captain stepped out of the darkness, his armor black and lined with glowing red veins. The alien's eyes burned like fire as he stared at Marcus. She begged us to kill her quickly, the captain said. We didn't. Rage exploded in Marcus's chest. Before the captain could raise his blade, Marcus fired the alien rifle. The plasma bolt slammed into the captain's chest. The thick armor absorbed most of the damage. The alien snarled and charged. Marcus dropped the rifle and grabbed the plasma staff. The two clashed in the middle of the chamber. Sparks flew as the captain's blade met the glowing staff. Marcus ducked under a wide swing and struck the captain's knee, denting the armor. The alien roared in pain and slammed a massive fist into Marcus's side, sending him crashing into the cages. Pain shot through Marcus's ribs. He forced himself to stand. "I'm not leaving without her," Marcus growled. The captain grinned, sharp teeth glinting. "Then you'll die here." The alien lunged forward, blade raised high, but Marcus was faster. He dodged to the side and drove the plasma staff straight into the captain's chest joint, one of the few weak spots in the armor. The weapon hummed as it burned through flesh and bone. The captain screamed in agony. Marcus didn't stop. He shoved the staff deeper until the alien fell to his knees. Yellow blood gushed out as the captain collapsed to the floor. Marcus stood over the body, breathing hard. "I'm coming for you, Alara," he whispered. The stolen control pad blinked. Again, core processing arrival in 5 hours. 10 minutes. Marcus tightened his grip on the plasma staff and moved toward the next corridor. No, one would stop him. Not now. Ending cliffhanger as Marcus disappeared into the darkness. The ships. "Systems activated." A mechanical voice spoke in the alien language. "Release the beast." In the depths of the ship, something massive and powerful woke from its slumber. Its eyes opened. Glowing red dot, it let out a low, rumbling growl, and it started hunting the human. The floor vibrated under Marcus's boots as he moved through the corridor. A deep rumble echoed through the alien ship like the growl of some enormous predator. He tightened his grip on the plasma staff, senses on high alert. Something had changed. The air felt heavier. The lights flickered, as if the ship itself was afraid. Marcus glanced at the stolen control pad. Core processing, arrival in 4 hours, 37 minutes. He quickened his pace. "Alara, hold on," he whispered under his breath. Behind him, metal groaned and twisted. The sound was faint at first, but then it grew louder. Thud, 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 thud. Each step shook the walls around him. Marcus froze. That wasn't the sound of normal brick soldiers. Something big was coming, a faint metallic snarl reached his ears. He spun around, raising the staff. But the corridor behind him was empty. The lights flickered again. When they came back on, a massive shadow moved across the far wall. Marcus took a cautious step back. "Show yourself," he growled. The air grew colder. His breath came out in misty puffs. A red glow appeared in the darkness. 2 glowing eyes. Wide and unblinking, the creature stepped forward. It was massive, twice the size of any Vreek soldier Marcus had faced so far.
Eyes.
Its body was a twisted mix of muscle and metal. Blades jutted out from its forearms, and its long tail ended in a sharp, glowing spike. Its face was covered in armor, but its jagged teeth poked through a thin gap in the plating. "Human," it rumbled in a deep, echoing voice. "You have killed too many of my kind. The hunt ends here." Marcus gritted his teeth. "Then come and get me." The creature roared. A deafening sound that shook dust from the ceiling. It charged Marcus. Dove to the side as the beast's clawed hand smashed into the floor where he'd been standing. The impact left a crater in the metal. The beast's tail lashed out. Marcus barely raised his staff in time to block it, but the force sent him sliding across the floor. He fired the staff's energy pulse. But the blast ricocheted off the beast's armored chest. "Great," Marcus muttered. "Armor." The beast lunged again, swiping with its massive claws. Marcus ducked and rolled between its legs, slashing at the exposed joints behind its knees. Sparks flew as the staff connected. But the beast barely flinched. It spun around with surprising speed and slammed its tail into Marcus's side. Pain exploded through his ribs as he was thrown against the wall. He gasped for air. But there was no time to recover. The beast charged again. Marcus forced himself to move. Rolling away just as the monster's claws tore through the metal wall where his head had been, he scrambled to his feet. His ribs screaming in pain. "Think. Kane. Think," he told himself. The beast's armor was too strong. Direct attacks wouldn't work, but maybe he glanced up. The ceiling above them was lined with large pipes. Steam hissed from small vents. A plan formed in his mind. Marcus sprinted down the corridor, firing random shots over his shoulder to keep the beast's attention. "Run, little human," the creature growled behind him. "It won't save you." Marcus ignored the taunt. He reached a section of the corridor where the pipes crossed overhead. He stopped and turned to face the beast. The creature saw him standing still and smiled, its jagged teeth glinting. "Tired already?" It sneered. Marcus didn't answer. The beast roared and charged at the last second. Marcus fired his stolen rifle at the pipes above. The bolts struck their mark. Steam exploded from the pipes with a deafening hiss, filling the corridor with blinding white vapor. The beast howled in surprise as hot steam engulfed it. Marcus lunged forward through the cloud. He could barely see, but he didn't need to. He aimed for the creature's knees again, striking with all his strength. This time the staff pierced deeper, cutting through wires and flesh. The beast roared in pain and swung blindly. Marcus ducked under the wild swipe and rolled behind the creature. He spotted an exposed area at the base of its spino armor. "Just pulsating organic tissue found you," Marcus whispered. He drove the plasma staff straight into the weak spot. The weapon hummed as it burned through the creature's core. The beast screamed, its body convulsing violently. Marcus yanked the staff free and jumped back as the monster collapsed to the floor. Its glowing red eyes flickered and then went dark. Silence filled the corridor once more. Marcus stood over the massive body, breathing heavily. "That's one more body between me and her," he said. He checked the control pad again. Core processing arrival in 4 hours. 12 minutes. Time was still running out. Marcus wiped the blood from his face and moved on, ending cliffhanger. In the ship's command center, a Vreek officer slammed his clawed fist on the console. He killed the beast. Impossible. A towering figure stepped into the room, his presence sending a chill through the other officers. The Vreek Overlord. "Prepare the war elite," Overlord said in a cold, calm voice. "If the human wants his female back, will have to go through me." The smell hit Marcus first. It was thick and heavy, like burning flesh mixed with rotting metal. He tightened his grip on the plasma staff and pushed forward. Every step felt harder than the last. His ribs ached from the fight with the beast, and blood trickled from a cut above his eye. But pain didn't matter. Nothing mattered except her, Alara. "I'm coming," he whispered under his breath. The stolen control pad beeped softly in his hand. Cryolabs. 300 meters ahead. He quickened his pace. The corridor walls shifted as he passed. Organic veins pulsed faintly, as if the ship itself were alive and breathing. Strange whispers echoed in the air, too faint to understand. He ignored them, but then a sound froze him in place. A scream. It was faint, far away, but it was her voice. Alara. His heart pounded harder. He ran. The cryolabs were massive, stretching out like a frozen graveyard. Hundreds of glass pods lined the walls, each one glowing with a faint blue light. Marcus moved between them, his eyes scanning every face. Humans. Dozens of them. Men, women, children, all floating in some kind of glowing liquid. Alive, but not awake. The pods hummed softly, tubes pumping alien fluids into their bodies. Marcus felt a knot in his stomach. "What are they doing to you?" he muttered. He stopped in front of one pod. A young boy floated inside. Metal collar was wrapped tightly around his neck. With alien symbols carved into his skin, Marcus's hands shook with anger. "They're experimenting on us," he realized. "They're trying to figure out what makes humans different." Then he saw it. An empty pod at the far end of the lab, a faint glow still lingered inside, and a small silver object floated in the liquid. Marcus stepped closer and stared. It was Alara's necklace, the same one he had given her before the mission. He pressed his hand against the glass, his throat tight. "They took her out of here," he whispered. The control pad beeped again. Core processing arrival in 3 hours. 41 minutes. Marcus's jaw tightened. Not much time left. A deep voice spoke behind him. You shouldn't have come here, human. Marcus spun around, raising his staff. A Vreek commander stood at the entrance. This one was different from the others, taller, with black armor and glowing red eyes. A long energy blade hummed in his hand. You're too late, the commander said. The female is already being prepared for extraction. Soon, her DNA will make us stronger, and humans will be nothing. Marcus's grip tightened on the staff. You talk too much. The commander lunged forward. Their weapons clashed with a shower of sparks. The commander's blade sliced through the air with deadly precision, but Marcus was faster. He ducked and struck low, aiming for the alien's legs. The commander blocked the strike and countered with a heavy kick. Marcus staggered backward, his ribs screaming in pain, but he didn't stop. He charged forward again, swinging the staff in. A wide arc. This time, the blow connected. The staff slammed into the commander's side, denting the armor and sending the alien crashing into a row of cryo-pods. Marcus didn't hesitate. He pressed the staff against the alien's chest and fired a burst of plasma energy. The commander screamed as the blast burned through his armor. Yellow blood spraying across the floor. The alien fell limp. His blade clattering to the ground. Marcus grabbed the control pad from the alien's belt and scanned for Elara's location. Hologram flickered to life in front of him. It showed Elara strapped to a massive alien machine. Wires dug into her skin, and her eyes were closed. Her face was pale. Too pale. Marcus's chest tightened. She's alive, he whispered. But for how long? The hologram zoomed out, showing the core chamber. A voice spoke from the hologram, deep and mocking. You've come far, human. But this is where your journey ends. If you want her, come and take her. I'll be waiting. The hologram vanished. Marcus stared at the empty space where it had been. He felt the familiar burn of rage in his chest. I'll take her back, he growled, no matter how many of you I have to kill. He grabbed the commander's blade and strapped it to his back. Then he set the cryolabs on fire. The flames spread quickly, eating through cables and machinery. Pods shattered one by one as the heat rose. Marcus didn't look back. He walked away as the lab burned behind him, the screams of alien technicians echoing in the air. Ending cliffhanger, far above in the core chamber. The Vreek overlord watched. Marcus threw a holographic screen. He's coming, an officer said nervously. The overlord's lips curled into a cold smile. Good, he said. Let the human come. I want to see if the stories about his kind are true. The overlord raised a clawed hand. Prepare the war elite. If he survives them, he'll face me. The air inside the core felt heavier, thicker, like it was alive. Marcus stepped carefully through the massive doorway, his plasma staff humming faintly in his hands. He could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. The corridor behind him was gone now. There was no turning back. Before him stretched a cavernous chamber unlike anything he'd seen. The walls weren't just metal, they pulsed like veins, glowing faintly with green and red light. Strange tendrils of energy danced across the floor like living things, and in the center of it all, Elara. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. She was suspended in the air by thick black cables that wrapped around her arms and legs. Wires dug into her skin, pumping glowing blue fluid into her veins. Her eyes were closed, her body hung limp. Marcus whispered. He ran forward, his boots clanging against the strange metal floor. Elara. Her head twitched slightly. Her lips parted, and a faint whisper escaped. Marcus. His heart shattered. I'm here, he shouted. Hold on, I'm getting you out of there. But then a deep, cold voice echoed through the chamber. You're too late, human. Marcus froze. From the shadows, a massive figure stepped forward. The Vreek overlord. He was taller than any alien Marcus had fought so far, his body covered in black and gold armor that seemed to ripple like liquid. His eyes burned with crimson. Light, and a long blade crackled with energy in his clawed hand. "You've killed many of my soldiers," the Overlord said calmly. "Even the beast impressive, for a fragile creature like you." Marcus raised his plasma staff. "Let her go," he growled. The Overlord tilted his head slightly, amused. "You humans are fascinating. So weak, and yet you fight like animals when you're cornered. That is why you must be destroyed." "I'm only going to say this once," Marcus said through gritted teeth. "Let her go." The Overlord smiled. "Or what?" Marcus didn't. Answered, he charged. The Overlord moved faster than Marcus expected. Their weapons clashed in a burst of sparks. The force of the impact sent Marcus sliding backward. But he didn't fall. He attacked again, swinging the staff in a wide arc. The Overlord blocked easily, then countered with a heavy strike. Marcus barely raised his weapon in time to deflect it. The impact sent a jolt of pain through his arms. "You are strong for a human," the Overlord said. "But strength alone won't save her." Marcus gritted his teeth and lunged forward. He struck low, aiming for the Overlord's legs, but the alien sidestepped and slammed his blade down. Marcus rolled out of the way as the blade sliced through the floor, leaving a glowing scar in the metal. "Ilara!" Marcus shouted again. "Stay with me!" Her eyes fluttered open briefly. "Cuss," she whispered. "Don't you dare give up on me," he yelled. The Overlord growled. "Her mind is already fading. Soon, she will belong to us." Rage boiled in Marcus's chest. "You'll never have her." He attacked with everything he had, striking the Overlord again and again. Each blow sent sparks flying. The alien's armor was too strong. The Overlord grabbed Marcus by the throat and lifted him off the ground. "You humans love too much," he said. "It makes you weak." Marcus gasped for air, his vision darkening. But then he saw Ilara's face again in his mind. Her smile, her laugh. He wasn't going to die here. Not while she still needed him. With a roar, Marcus slammed the plasma staff into the Overlord's arm. The energy discharge shocked the alien, forcing him to drop Marcus. Marcus landed hard, rolled to his feet. He grabbed the alien blade from his back and swung it with all his strength. This time, the blade cut through the Overlord's shoulder, armor drawing thick black blood. The Overlord snarled in pain and anger. "Impressive," he said. "But it won't save you." He pressed a button on his gauntlet. The cables around Ilara's body tightened. Her scream pierced the air. Nitrogen monoxide. Marcus shouted. He ran toward her, but the Overlord blocked his path. "You have a choice, human," the Overlord said coldly. "Save her, or save yourself." He pressed another button. A countdown appeared on the wall. Self-destruct sequence initiated. "Ship will detonate in 10 minutes. Marcus's eyes widened. The whole ship was about to explode. He looked at Ilara. Her breathing was shallow. Her skin was pale. And then he looked at the Overlord. "I don't care if I die," Marcus said. "As long as I take you with me." The Overlord smiled faintly. "Good. Then let's finish this." Ending cliffhanger. Marcus gripped both weapons tightly, his eyes burning with determination. The Overlord raised his blade. Red light glowing brighter than ever. Around them, the core began to collapse as the countdown ticked lower. 9:59, 9:58. And then they charged at each other. The core shook violently as alarms screamed from every direction. Marcus and the Vreek. Overlords circled each other like predators in a cage. Sparks rained down from the ceiling, and glowing cracks split the floor. The countdown timer glared above them in bright red. 9-12, 9-11, 9-10. Ilara hung motionless in the air, bound by thick cables. Her pale face and slow breaths pushed Marcus forward. He had no time left, and nothing left to lose. The Overlord struck first. His blade sliced through the air in a deadly arc. Glowing with raw energy, Marcus barely dodged in time. The blade grazed his shoulder, sending a searing pain through his body. He gritted his teeth and swung his plasma staff upward. The Overlord deflected it easily. the force of his counter sending Marcus skidding backward across the floor. "You fight well for a fragile creature," the Overlord said, his deep voice calm. "But this ends now." Marcus spat blood onto the floor. "You're damn right it does." Yeah. He charged again, this time feinting left before striking right. The staff slammed into the Overlord's side, sparking as it connected with armor. The alien staggered slightly, but then he grabbed Marcus's staff with his free hand and yanked it away with impossible strength. The weapon clattered to the floor. Marcus was unarmed. The Overlord's glowing blade swung down toward Marcus's head, but Marcus dropped to his knees and rolled forward, grabbing the alien's dropped energy blade from the earlier fight. In one motion, he slashed upward. The blade cut through the Overlord's thigh joint. Thick black blood sprayed across the floor as the alien roared in rage and pain. "You think you can stop me?" the Overlord bellowed. "I don't think," Marcus growled. "I know." The Overlord lashed out with a powerful kick, catching Marcus in the ribs. The impact sent him flying backward into the wall. Agony flared in his chest. Something cracked inside him, maybe a rib. But Marcus forced himself to stand. He wasn't done yet. Not until Alara was safe. The Overlord charged like a beast, swinging his massive blade with both hands. Marcus ducked under the first swing and blocked the second with his stolen blade. Sparks flew as the weapons clashed, the force almost knocking Marcus to his knees, but he held his ground with a roar. He twisted his blade and drove it upward. The tip slipped between the Overlord's chest. Plates. The alien froze as the blade sank deep. Marcus didn't hesitate. He pushed harder until the weapon punched through the other side. Black blood gushed from the wound. The Overlord's red eyes flickered. "Impossible," he hissed. Marcus leaned close, his voice low and cold. "You shouldn't have touched her." With a final push, he ripped the blade free. The Overlord fell to his knees, and then, with a loud crash, his massive body hit the floor, dead. Marcus didn't waste a second. He dropped the blade, ran to Alara. The cables pulsed as he approached, as if alive and unwilling to release her. "Hold on, Alara," he whispered. "I've got you." He grabbed one of the cables and yanked hard. It didn't budge. Marcus cursed under his breath and pulled out a plasma knife from his belt. He slashed through the first cable. Sparks flew, and the alien machine let out a deep mechanical scream. One by one, he cut the cables free until Alara's body fell into his arms. "Alara." "Stay with me," Marcus said, shaking her gently. Her eyelids fluttered weakly. "Marcus." She whispered, her voice barely audible. "I'm here," he said, holding her close. "I've got you." She tried to smile, but her strength was fading fast. "You came for me." "Always," Marcus said. He pressed a kiss to her forehead, but then the timer above them beeped loudly. 5 o'clock, 4:59, 4:58. The self-destruct countdown was almost over. Marcus looked around frantically. He needed a way out. He spotted a small alien dropship docked at the edge of the core. It was their only chance. Marcus shifted Alara in his arms and started running. The ship groaned and shook around them as explosions tore through the walls. Fire raged through the corridors. Chunks of debris fell from the ceiling, forcing Marcus to dodge left and right as he ran. A blast of heat knocked him to the ground. Ella slipped from his arms and rolled a few feet away. "No," Marcus shouted. He crawled to her and pulled her close again. Her breathing was shallow. "Marcus, go, leave me," she whispered weakly. "Shut up," Marcus said, his voice breaking. "We're getting out of here together." He reached the dropship and slammed his hand on the alien control panel. The door hissed open. Marcus placed Alara gently in a seat and strapped her in. "Stay with me, Alara. Don't close your eyes." Ending cliffhanger. As Marcus climbed into the pilot's seat and activated the controls, a massive explosion rocked the core. The countdown hit 0:00:00. The alien ship began to collapse in on itself as a blinding light filled the chamber. Marcus gritted his teeth and slammed the throttle forward. The dropship shot out of the core just as the entire alien vessel exploded in a massive fireball. But outside, a fleet of Reek warships hovered in space, blocking their escape. Marcus's face hardened. "All right, let's see how many of you I can take with me." The stolen dropship rattled violently as it tore through the darkness of space. Warning lights flashed across the alien control panel, and alarms screamed in Marcus's ears. He gripped the controls tightly, his knuckles white. Behind them, the Vreek mothership was nothing but a burning cloud of debris. But ahead, a fleet of warships blocked their path. Dozens of massive vessels hung in orbit, their weapons glowing faintly like coiled snakes ready to strike. Ilara lay strapped into the seat behind him. Her breathing was shallow, her face pale. "Hang on." Ilara, Marcus said softly, "We're not done yet." He scanned the alien controls, his eyes darting across unreadable symbols. The translator implant flickered, struggling to keep up shields. Offline. Weapons. Minimal charge. Engines. Critical damage. Marcus cursed under his breath. Of course. A voice crackled through the ship's comms system. "Human vessel. Power down and surrender. You are surrounded." Marcus's jaw tightened. Not happening. Slammed the throttle forward. The alien warships opened fire. Streams of plasma bolts lit up the blackness. Chasing the dropship as it weaved through the barrage, Marcus's hands flew over the controls, dodging left and right as explosions erupted around them. The ship groaned under the strain. "Come on." "Hold together," Marcus muttered. A massive blast struck the wing, sending the dropship into a wild spin. Marcus fought to regain control. "Ilara, stay with me," he shouted over the alarms. She let out a weak groan but didn't open her eyes. 2. Alien fighters broke from the fleet and moved in close, their weapons locking onto Marcus's ship. He spotted a single missile loaded in the dropship's weapons system. One shot. Better make it count. Marcus twisted the ship sharply, diving toward the enemy fighters. The aliens didn't expect the sudden move. He fired the missile. The projectile streaked through space and slammed into the first fighter. It exploded in a blinding flash, taking the second fighter with it in the blast wave. "Gotcha." Marcus growled, but the victory was short-lived. A massive warship above them charged its main cannon. The control panel screamed warnings. Impact imminent. Marcus knew they wouldn't survive a direct hit. He had one option left. "All right, Kane," he muttered to himself. One last gamble. He turned the dropship sharply and dove toward the surface of the nearby planet. The warship fired. A blinding beam of energy streaked past. Missing them by inches, the dropship's hull groaned under the pressure as they plunged into the planets. Atmosphere fire engulfed the ship as it screamed through the clouds. The controls sparked. Violently, Marcus struggled to keep them level. "Come on. Don't fail me now." A mountain range loomed ahead. The ship wasn't slowing down. Marcus slammed his hand onto the emergency thrusters. The dropship jolted hard, engines screaming in protest. But it wasn't enough. "Hold on, Ilara." The ship smashed into the mountainside, skidding across the rocky ground. Sparks and debris flew in all directions as the dropship tore a deep scar into the earth. Finally, the deafening crash, the ship came to a stop. Smoke filled the cabin. Marcus coughed violently, his vision swimming, "ELARA." He sighed, no answer. He unstrapped himself and crawled to her seat. "Ilara."
"Please."
Her chest rose faintly. She was alive. Relief washed over him, but it didn't last outside the wreckage. Heavy footsteps echoed across the rocks. Marcus peered through the cracked viewport. Dozens of Reek soldiers surrounded the crash site, their weapons trained on the ship above them. The massive warship hovered like a predator. A deep voice boomed over a loudspeaker. "Human, surrender now, or we will burn you and the female alive." Marcus leaned his head against the wall, his chest heaving. His body was broken. His weapons were gone, but he wasn't done fighting, not yet. He looked at Ilara's face one last time and whispered, I promised I'd get you out. I'm not breaking that promise." He grabbed the plasma knife from his belt, the only weapon he had left, and he stepped out of the wreckage. Ending cliffhanger. The Vreek soldiers raised their weapons as Marcus staggered forward, blood dripping from his wounds. "Stand down, human." One of them barked, but Marcus didn't stop. He raised the plasma knife, and with a voice full of fire, said, "Come and take her from me." The alien warship charged its main cannon. The camera pans out as Marcus charges straight at the enemy line. The mountain air was thin and cold. Marcus stood in front of the wrecked dropship, his body broken but unbowed. Blood dripped from a gash on his forehead. His left arm hung limp at his side, the plasma knife gripped tightly in his right hand. Around him, Vreek soldiers closed in, dozens of them. Their claws tapped against their rifles as they formed a tight circle above. The massive warship hovered, its main cannon glowing like a second sun. "Human," the alien commander barked. "This is over. Surrender now, and we will make her death painless." Marcus didn't flinch. His eyes burned with fire. "I told you," he growled, his voice low and deadly. "I'm taking her back, or I'm taking all of you with me." The soldiers raised their weapons. "Fire," the commander shouted. Plasma bolts screamed through the air, but Marcus was already moving. He lunged forward with impossible speed, rolling low as bolts exploded around him. The first alien didn't even see the plasma knife before it sank into his chest. Marcus ripped the blade free and spun. Slashing through the second soldier's throat, the alien fell, choking on its own blood. Marcus grabbed its rifle before it hit the ground. Now armed, he fired in short, deadly bursts. 3 more soldiers dropped before they could react. The aliens roared in anger and fear. "It's just one human." The commander shouted, "Crush him!" But Marcus didn't stop. He fought like a demon, weaving between their lines. Every movement fueled by rage and love. A claw raked across his side. Tearing through his armor, Marcus grunted in pain, but didn't slow down. He slammed the rifle butt into the alien's face, shattering its jaw, and fired point blank into its chest. The circle broke. The soldiers backed away slightly, fear creeping into their glowing eyes. Marcus stood in the center, chest heaving, surrounded by bodies. But more soldiers poured down from the warship above. Too many. His rifle clicked empty. The alien commander stepped forward, massive and armored. "You can't win, human," he sneered. "No one is coming to save you." Marcus dropped the empty rifle and tightened his grip on the plasma knife. "I don't need saving," he said. He charged. The commander swung his massive blade. Marcus ducked under the strike and drove his elote, his knife upward with all his strength. The blade pierced the alien's chest. Sinking deep, the commander let out a shocked roar. Marcus twisted the blade, and then the alien collapsed to the ground. The remaining soldiers hesitated. Their commander was gone. The human was still standing, but Marcus was fading fast. His vision blurred. His legs felt like lead. He stumbled back toward the dropship Alara. He whispered. Inside the wreckage, she still lay motionless. Marcus collapsed next to her, his bloody hand brushing her cheek. "Hey, I told you I'd get you out." Her eyes fluttered open. "Marcus," she whispered weakly. He smiled faintly, tears mixing with blood on his face. "You're safe now." But then the ground shook above them. The warship charged its main. Cannon, a blinding light filled the sky. Marcus knew he didn't have the strength to fight anymore, but he wasn't done. Protecting her, he pulled a small device from his belt. The Overlord's detonator. Marcus pressed it. A deep rumble echoed from the wreckage of the Vreek mothership in orbit. The ship's reactor, damaged and unstable, roared to life. The warship above hesitated then. In an instant, the mothership exploded in a massive fireball. Taking the warship and half the fleet with it, the mountain shook violently. Marcus shielded Alara with his body as debris rained down around them. When the dust settled, silence filled the air. The Vreek fleet was gone. "Alara," Marcus whispered. But his voice was weak now, too weak. She reached up and touched his face gently. "You've saved me, always," he said, his smile faint. Stay with me, Marcus, she whispered, tears in her eyes. Please. His hand brushed her cheek one last time, and then it fell limply to the ground. Ending scene, the camera pans out. The burning wreckage of the dropship lies, silent in the snowy mountains. Leia holds Marcus in her arms, sobbing quietly. In the distance, human rescue ships finally break through the atmosphere, but they are too late.